Ferrari has long been the standard by which every exotic sports car is measured. The ultimate blend of styling, performance, and pedigree makes these thoroughbreds from Maranello nothing short of extraordinary in every way. Hey everybody, I'm Chris Jacobs, and welcome to the Bachman Ferrari Collection, a truly exceptional stable of Italian automotive engineering. Nearly 50 cars will be crossing the block in January 2026 at the world's largest collector car auction, Mecum Auctions, in Kissimmee, Florida. Join us as we explore this incredible lineup of vintage as well as modern era Ferrari supercars, all part of the incomparable Bachman Collection, which many experts consider to be one of the world's finest.
I believe it will go down in the records and in Ferrari history broadly as a testament to a couple's shared passion.
It's a legacy that lives on, and that the provenance that these cars have has a lot to do with the people that were behind putting this collection together, Phil and Martha Bachman.
Ferrari represented really the very special emotion. There was a bond between, the Phil and Ferrari.
The Bachman name will always be connected with collecting Ferraris. That's a good testament to somebody that loved something and did it with such a passion. The Phil and Martha Bachman Collection is absolute sensory overload.
I am not overstating the fact I have never been in a collection like this that combines exclusivity, rarity, quality of the cars themselves, and the numbers of them.
A way to put it is Phil and Martha have an art gallery.
Bachman Ferrari is synonymous with excellence. It's just the perfect car.
The GTOs, the F40, the F50, the Daytonas, the 308s, the Dinos, the Boxers, the Testarossas.
Each and every one of them is immaculate and well-detailed, looking like they did when they left the factory in Italy.
What amused me is that the fact the car looks brand new. Everything is perfect. The steering wheel was protected, the seat were protected, the carpet were protected. Every single thing was in a condition that do not create any possible damage on the car.
Dad always had a philosophy of keeping miles off the cars. That was because he didn't see these cars as sports cars as much as he did items to be collected. He would get ridiculed sometimes in a friendly way by other Ferrari club members saying, "Phil, you should not be so tentative about putting miles on cars. Just do it. Just don't worry about the mileage." But Dad would take issue with that. He would say, "Nope, you can enjoy your Ferrari the way you want, but I'm going to enjoy my Ferrari by keeping it, in my words, as a trailer queen."
The archives that Phil has on his own cars here is just remarkable.
There was a little notepad inside every vehicle that would show that the car was started on this date, exercised on this date. They saved everything. You name it, anything that came with the car when it originally showed up. And even on some of the vehicles, they still had the original shipping stickers on the vehicles on the windshield.
They kept every single piece of paper connected for every single car. I think probably was the first time in my life that I saw so many documentation for every single car.
Phil and Martha Bachman were Northeast Tennessee natives, great parents for me, sweet people, community-minded people, business leaders. I'm proud that they were my parents. Dad was a lifelong gearhead. Even before then, he was into motorsports and into anything with an engine. He started collecting Corvettes as a young man before Ferrari. He had a few British sports cars as well, some Jaguars. He enjoyed MGs, he enjoyed Triumphs. Ferrari just happened to be the one that really spoke to him the most and that really became something very special beyond what his other cars did. Dad was at an auto dealer convention in around 1983, and they had on display, I'm not sure where it was or the occasion, but there was on display two Ferrari 308s. from the early 80s. One was red in color, one was yellow. The yellow one in particular caught his eye. It really spoke to his heart. And a year later, in '84, his first Ferrari was a yellow 308.
This was the largest selling Ferrari for a long time. You know, they built over 3,000 in the 308 series. Of course, people remember the car from Magnum PI that Tom Selleck drove, which added to its popularity. 2.9 liter V8, about 255, 260 horsepower.
We went from a V6 in the Dino to a V8. Why does that matter? Again, it's because it's the perfect solution for weight distribution around the car. And driving a 308 is a wonderful experience because, again, it makes the steering very nimble. It turns left, it turns right. It sounds beautiful with that burbling V8 just behind your head here.
That's their first Ferrari. That started it all. So, of course, that will be of utmost sentiment to them. And that's the car also that I was almost born in. That was my ride to the hospital before I was delivered by my mom only 2 hours later.
This is a car that took Ferrari from very limited production to mass production. And yet, still, at over 3,000 units, it still maintains that exclusivity.
We get the question why the color yellow a lot. I believe it's because it's a bright color, it's a bold color. That was like Dad's personality. He was vivid, he was an extrovert, he liked being something different, he liked standing out from the crowd.
Everyone knew who they were because of the yellow cars in the collection, so it was really unique, and then obviously it took kind of its own flair. Because as the years went on and they would always show up, and it was, you knew, even if when you saw a new yellow car show up in one of the nationals, you had a good idea that it was probably their vehicle.
Yellow is different. Phil is always trying to come up with a car which would have been different than any other.
I met them the first time when I was working at Ferrari. I was aware that they were a big collector. But what surprised me is their full immersion in this brand.
Phil's passion was like nothing I've ever seen because the factory would do some customization. And when I look at the cars, I notice some of the things that are on the cars that no one else had.
599 GTO has a combination of yellow and light blue, that light blue, Ferrari is offering it as a baby blue. That name is coming from Phil and from the car he ordered, the spec.
It's a very limited car, very popular car, but you get here and you got a color scheme that makes your car singular. It's also the last one.
Dad became known at the factory as always requesting the last example of a special series.
Phil was about, that's the last one you can get. No one else can get another car, produced after that specific chassis number. In this way, it was a way to say this is a very unique model. I would say that Bachman Ferrari is differentiated from any other because behind the car, it's not just a car, it's a car who has been carefully thought and imagined months and months before the factory delivery.
He had so much fun, and so did my mom, designing and dreaming about the customization options. They really had a great time and spent a lot of hours and energy, but in a good way, to dream up these color combinations.
Phil also had Ferrari creating unique colors that Ferrari was not offering. Not only in terms of colors for the paint, but also color for the car interior. They were able to convince Ferrari to move their limits and coming up with personalization which were not allowed to many other clients.
To get the factory to do that is not easy.
They respected where he came from. They respected his fundamental enjoyment for the brand, not of pretense, but just because he was so passionate about the history of the company and the cars that they were producing. For that reason, I think they would accommodate him and actually have a lot of fun collaborating with him about the design of these custom builds.
The first program was called Carrozzeria Scaglietti. And then that transitioned into Atelier, and Atelier became tailor-made. So they kept stepping it up at the factory as well. They were one of the forefront people to make it happen.
Unico, I mean unique, because unico e appassionato and passionate. I think these are the words that resemble his approach on producing very unique cars.
Phil and Martha Bachman lived what many would consider to be the American dream. Of course, with an Italian flair. And when we come back, we take a deeper dive into this once-in-a-lifetime collection. The enormous success that Ferrari has found on both the road and the racetrack can be attributed to its sophisticated styling and cutting-edge technology. These two signatures can be found on every example in the Bachman Collection.
Dad bought his first Ferrari in 1984. It was shortly thereafter that they started acquiring others. In the early 2000s, he started taking an interest in the vintage Ferraris.
When we look at Phil Bachman's 1953 166 MM, it is really a race car that Ferrari built for road racing. The MM stands for the Mille Miglia, which is a very significant road race back in that time.
We had the joy of driving that car in Colorado on the Colorado Grand. Those memories of driving that car with the beautiful sound of that Colombo V-12 engine, going through the peaks and the valleys through the mountains was such a special moment for me, and grateful for those memories.
Only 13 of these chassis were built, and like a lot of other premium cars of that era, you went to coach builders and had the car completed.
Highly significant race car, road car from Maranello. I understand why Phil wanted it.
There's a few cars that really stand out, but there's one car in particular that really stands out, and it's the 275 GTB4 alloy car.
The alloy referring to the alloy bodywork, much lighter than the cars built with the standard sheet metal.
If we can do away with the steel and put alloy components on the car, it reduces the weight and the car goes faster.
That is my favorite car in the collection. And it's just a car for me growing up. There's something really special about the chrome bumper cars and the cars from that era, from the 60s and 70s. But that car in particular really has my heart. It always has. Even when I first came here on my first visit, Phil and Martha said, "You want to take a picture on any of the cars?" And I still have the photo, and the photo was inside that car.
In Ferrari lore, the letters GTO are absolutely legendary. GTO, Gran Turismo Omologato.
Twin turbo V8, a car that could handle, could brake, could accelerate, could do all the things that a race car is expected to do, but yet it was a street-driven automobile.
I mean, the great cars in the world, that is really hard to find. Even after you find a rare car, that it has that singular identity.
It is a beautiful piece of engineering, and if asked, which is my favorite Ferrari of all time, that's it. The 288 GTO gets my nod. One of the most famous, legendary cars that Maranello have ever produced, and its status in the Ferrari stable has only continued to improve over the years, has to be the F40. It's a special, limited production car that was made in celebration of 40 years of Ferrari's production.
This was a driver's car. This really was a race car for the street. There are two in the Bachman collection, which blows my mind.
Phil placed the order to the dealer here in the United States, but the dealer said, we are probably not sure we can confirm the car because it's such a limited edition. And I had been speaking with someone at the Ferrari factory and helping him to place an order directly. In a matter of probably a couple of weeks, the dealer sent him a message saying, okay, you can go ahead and make the wire for the payment of the car. And Ferrari did the very same thing. So he kept both cars here at the collection.
And they're both going to come to Kissimmee. I guarantee you there'll be a crowd around both of these cars.
10 years later, Ferrari are again challenged with producing another car to celebrate this time 50 years of all things Ferrari. Well, no surprise, they decided to call the car the F50.
Problem was that the production of 349 F50 cars were over, and he didn't get one. So he had been searching and searching and searching for a car with extremely low mileage, and found one from Ian Poulter, which is basically in a perfect condition and matched the Phil Bachman standards, and the car is then now part of the collection.
Another phenomenal car that the engineers and designers at Maranello produced was in 2003, a car to celebrate the life of Enzo Ferrari, the Ferrari Enzo.
Dad adored that car from day one. That's the car that he was able to go to the factory many times during production and watch be built.
Maurizio Macalesi was an amazing guy working at Ferrari. He has been head of production for these supercars, and he was head of production of F50 for the F50 line, as well as the Enzo. I was at the factory with Phil, and Maurizio said, Phil, take off your jacket, put on the production work like the workers.
We dressed them as a worker, and they spent one day like building their own car.
The first car that I saw that they customized was the Enzo. I saw it at Ferrari North America in 2000, either late 2004 or 2005 when I saw it. And that car's super unique with a lot of the custom features that are on that car.
Phil probably would be the only client who has been working at the Ferrari factory producing his own Enzo Ferrari.
Then Ferrari hit on the idea of the Corsa Clienti. We're going to build cars that are designed just for the track, and it became known as the FXX project.
The FXX program was probably the pinnacle of his years with Ferrari. He was always involved with Ferrari, but the FXX program gave him a chance to be even more close to the factory, even more part of the inner circle of Ferrari.
The cars were built for track days, and you had to agree as a customer to be a part of this project, to give driver feedback into the design of the car to make them more user-friendly, not just so they could be driven by Formula One world champions, but so good drivers, but average folk could get in the car and have fun with it.
The FXX of the Bachman family is the only one produced originally in yellow.
My mom also enjoyed it very much, as did I, traveling around the world, driving on some of the most iconic Formula One racetracks with your own car. It all was just very special. The last car acquired was the 2017 LaFerrari Aperta.
In 2015, Ferrari produced another groundbreaking landmark car known as LaFerrari, the Ferrari.
The first hybrid supercar from Maranello. Also, only 499 of these were built, and the first Ferrari that was designed completely in-house, mechanicals and styling.
Exquisite interior, phenomenal engineering, beautiful engine sound, and also a car that would embrace current technology. The driver has at her disposal 1,000 horsepower. 2017, they produced an Aperta version of it, which is the removable top version of the car. To have one of those cars is groundbreaking for a collector. To have both of them, the fixed top version and the removable top version, hardly heard of.
Simone was a young man. He was in high school when he met my parents in Modena, Italy, for the first time.
Well, my relationship with Phil and Martha goes back in 1987, and it happened by chance.
Simone translated from English to Italian for my parents. It just so happened that Simone's family business was producing leather luggage for Ferrari.
Regarding the luggages, it's clear that the Schedoni company to Simone, that was his friend, ask for very, very little detail that I think put him in the condition to have unique luggages that nobody can have.
Simone Scodoni was obviously a good friend of the Bachmans, and their luggage sets are really all unique and one-off luggage sets. The Bachman Collection, they had some really, really unique interior colors, and Simone Scodoni and his father Mauro at the time created the original luggage to make sure it matched the interior spec of the vehicle, which is the only sets that I've ever seen like that, and I believe, according to Simone, the only ones that were ever done.
When we return, more from the Bachman Collection.
I believe that the Bachman Collection will stand the test of time as one of the best examples of true love of Ferrari and of true care for the cars. Dad would go to the nth degree to preserve the cars, to not risk something happening to them, to not risk a dent or a ding. That was evident through the way they meticulously kept the cars, maintained them in such high order, and showed the cars at the competitive shows, the Concours d'Elegance.
I've met some really dynamic people in our industry in this space, in the Ferrari world, and many of them were inspired by going to their first car show and meeting people like Phil and Martha Bachman and seeing their cars.
They lived their hobby to an extreme level, where he would be cleaning on a car or working on a car, and he would actually sleep in the collection building, because while he was working on that car, he wouldn't leave it.
I remember Martha with toothbrush cleaning and detailing the stitching of interiors. This was an amazing, amazing, amazing time.
Everything is over the top, super meticulous, because obviously they didn't want to have any issues with the vehicles because they would constantly show the cars.
Most of the cars have very limited miles, but the maintenance is unbelievable on them.
Prancing Horse of Nashville has been really accommodating, and we're happy to be working with them.
We're there to help in any way we can, but mainly if the car needs to be maintained, we're familiar with it. We have a factory authorized Ferrari dealership in Nashville, Tennessee. We can arrange transport, and our technicians are fully trained, and we can get the cars if they want to get even the Classic A certifications done or updated on any of the vehicles. We can assist with all of that.
A good number of their cars were Classic A certified in the collection.
Classic A is a service that Ferrari provides.
What it offers is a car that's 20 years or older, or a special series, a limited number car, to be certified by the factory. And what that entails is we do a very thorough inspection, upload that information, send it back to Maranello, and then they have a committee that actually meets for review on a monthly basis and certifies that that car is as it left the factory.
This certification program is of great value, A, to the value of the car, and also, again, building that relationship between the customer and Maranello.
I hope that the next owners will take pride in the way that Dad did and that Mom did of these cars and preserve them, whatever that might mean in the context of their own mind's eye.
They are not just buying a car. They are buying one component of a puzzle, part of a puzzle made by a couple, Phil and Martha Bachman, a visionary couple that wanted to come up with unique pieces and to represent their love for the brand, the Ferrari brand, and to come up with things that no one else could have.
Buying a Bachman car, I think, means to buy a piece of history.
You can buy a piece of that, but the authenticity of creating a life's work over decades and the commitment that Martha and Phil had to this and their family and the foundation to preserve it and then bring it to market where other people have an opportunity to share in it and be the next steward of it, it's an incredible, unique opportunity.
The Bachman's collection is absolutely stunning. And for Mecum to be representing the Bachman collection puts Mecum's involvement with European exotica, most especially with all things Ferrari, at an entirely different level.
you're going to hear about the total dollar volume and the total dollar volume of Kissimmee and the industry push. You're going to hear all those things. But I think the lasting success is in 5 years, in 10 years, when somebody says, I was there when they sold the Bachman Collection.
It will be emotionally challenging. I'm learning to posture myself from a perspective of gratitude, remembering my parents throughout the process, remembering the family fun that we had through those many years, and taking those memories with me into the future. That's really the most important part of the collection as I look back on it.
The Bachman Ferrari Collection is sure to be one of the show-stopping highlights of the 2026 Mecum auction schedule. And of course, it will take place at the featured event, January 6th through the 18th at Osceola Heritage Park in Kissimmee, Florida, the world's largest collector car auction. I, for one, can't wait to see them cross the block. I hope to see you there. Or you can watch all the action live on ESPN+. Until then, I'm Chris Jacobs. Thanks for watching.